Well, thank you very much, Mr. President and Ms. Field. Come on up and join us. Another one that we do every single year, and one that's incredibly timely, I think. Uh, and, you know, there are a number of reasons why this is timely, but there continues to be conversations about our Constitution daily nowadays, and folks know exactly what I'm talking about. There are a number of different amendments that are within the Constitution, but I want to tie into what the message we just heard before was about Peace Day and about making sure that individuals work together, that people look to strive for everyone's success, because the Constitution itself was framed in a way to ensure that that same kind of message was heard through protections. Understanding that not everybody was always on the same page as Maddie was, that we need to value everyone and ensure that everybody's rights are protected. And so the framers of the Constitution wanted to make sure that they felt that their persecution could be protected, and that individuals here in the United States would actually be able to have a way in which their way of life would be protected and individuals would be protected. And so it goes along that same spirit, and it's evolved over the years to really embody that same sort of message, which is that everyone is equal, everyone matters, everyone's voice should be heard, and that we all deserve a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it's one of those things that I think oftentimes we forget as we try to divide ourselves into sectors or groups, understanding that we were branched together a very long time ago by the framers of this Constitution, that we are one people. And even if some people decide to do things differently, if people decide that they may want to kneel in protest, that does not mean that they are not defying what the framers of the Constitution stood for. In fact, they are defining what the framers of the Constitution stood for, which was that protection of individuality, that protection of understanding that it is okay for you to speak on what you believe and what you feel and fight for what you believe is right. That is what this document means. And I think oftentimes people think that somehow this document means that you have to fall in line, when in reality it means that you need to stand up for your beliefs. And even if sometimes that standing up for your beliefs means that you should kneel, that's what this document protects you for. So it's one in which I think that, again, for folks who don't understand and believe the things that are going on, I encourage folks to go and read the Constitution. Read it. Read about the history. Read about Alexander Hamilton. You know, folks go and watch the play, and many kids can recite the lines, but I want them to actually bring in what's being said in that musical, because it really does talk about things that are happening right now. How we're trying to be divided when in fact we are all together one people. So I really want to say that, you know, it's normally we do some fun facts about the Constitution. Yeah. But this year, I think it's important for us to talk about the seriousness of the Constitution and what it means for us, especially at a time like this when we're seeing so much division in our country. It's important for us to be together because, just as you heard before, together is how we get through tough times. Together is how we solve problems. We here on the council may not always agree in terms of everything that we do, but at the end of the day, we're trying to make life better for people. That is what the Constitution is about. And so it's a great honor to be able to continue to talk about this document that means so much to so many people, but also means so much for our future. Because if we can truly live out the words and the spirit of this document, I think we'll find ourselves in a much better place. With that, Councilmember Katz.
Well, thank you, Craig, and really so very well said. You know, I first off think I should note that anybody that's watching this, I don't do every proclamation. That's not my norm. They understand that I shouldn't. But and Craig said we shouldn't do a few fun facts, but I am going to do a few fun facts because for first off, the one thing that I realized when reading this was there's spelling errors in the Constitution. To Craig's point, this is not a perfect document. In fact, they spelled Pennsylvania wrong. Not that I would spell it correctly, but they spelled Pennsylvania wrong. When the Constitution was signed, the United States population, the entire population, was 4 million people. Montgomery County has over 1 million people in it. The entire United States population was 4 million people. Philadelphia was the nation's largest city, and with about 40,000 inhabitants, which is Rockville and then Gaithersburg individually are larger than that themselves. One of the things that was interesting is that the proclamation by George Washington, who was president at this point, and a congressional resolution established the first National Thanksgiving Day on November 26, 1789. The reason for the holiday was to give thanks for the new Constitution. There was initially a question on how to address the president. Listen to this one. The Senate proposed that he be addressed as His Highness, the President of the United States of America, and protector of their liberties. Both the House of Representatives and the Senate compromised on the use of President of the United States, and thank goodness they did. And then I have one other fun fact, and then we can read a proclamation. As evidence of its continued flexibility, the Constitution has only been changed 17 times since 1791. It is truly a living document.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Katz. And I'm going to turn to Ms. Field to make any comments, but I did want to read the proclamation first, Cindy, if you wanted to join me in that. The County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby proclaims, whereas the Constitution of the United States embodies the ideas and principles of our founding fathers, supplemented by the wisdom that has been reflected in our dynamic republic over 2 centuries. And whereas this fall marks the 231st anniversary of the framing of the U.S. Constitution by the 1787 Constitutional Convention, and whereas the Constitution not only embodies the hopes and aspirations of Americans for liberty and representative government, but also continues to inspire people seeking freedom from the world over. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, recognizes the 231st anniversary of the United States Constitution and urges constant vigilance of county residents in protecting our liberties and our rights for generations of Americans still to come. Presented this 18th day of September in the year 2018, and it's signed by our County Council President, Hans Remer. Please. Yes. Yeah, please.
Okay. Take this out of my pocket. Thank you. My memory is terrible. I need notes. There. September the 17th is the 231st anniversary of the adoption of the Constitution. It's also the 63rd anniversary of the observance of Constitution Week. In 1955, the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution petitioned Congress with a resolution for this time of observance for the foundation of the American form of government, which was signed into law by President Dwight D. Eisenhower on August 2, 1956. The Constitution is a living document that assures each citizen of the freedoms Americans cherish and appreciate. As members of the Daughters of the American Revolution, it is our responsibility to keep our ancestors' legacy alive by promoting the ideals they fought valiantly to give their descendants. And we are all descendants of somebody. The commitment of the NSDAR is to encourage study and to educate the public about the Constitution, which was adopted by the American Congress of the Confederation on September 17th, 1787. And it is the oldest and the shortest of any constitution in the world, of countries that have constitutions and believe in some form of democracy. So that's something for us to be very proud of and to not take lightly.
And our proclamation was short, too. So.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So.